What is up, everyone? This is 7 Octoberz. I am here with a lyrical breakdown of my new project, From Xibalba to Aztlan. I wanted to break down each track like I did with God of My Destiny. So the first track I'll be doing today is Chicana Part One. This track actually started as a poem. I wrote this back in 2009, and then for this EP, I decided to make it a spoken word track. So this is a very deep and thoughtful poem that I wrote in 2009, like I mentioned, for a Chicano studies class that I was taking at San Diego State. It was actually a Chicano music class. I took it as an elective. Always loved music and to learn more about my culture, so I learned a lot in this class about Chicano history, Chicano music, and all that. We had a project where we had to write something, so I decided to do a poem, and it became this Chicana Poem Part One, which is a really powerful and in-depth poem. Chicana is personified in this poem. I'll go over like the inspiration and all that, but I'll play the track in full since it's just like a straightforward like spoken word track, and then I'll break it down. But to just kind of introduce the song, I wanted to do something to kind of set the tone for the EP. So shout out to Kill C Ray. He did the instrumental on this track. We worked on it kind of together. I kind of gave him input as far as what I kind of wanted. And I told him that I kind of wanted like some trumpets to give it that Mexican like mariachi feel. And then he kind of, went from there and created this dope instrumental to, set the tone for this project. So let me go ahead and play it here.
This is a story about a girl who made a difference in the world. She was born to be different since birth, but let it be known, she had a greater purpose on earth. The story begins with her journey to find acceptance and a place to call home. Her native language was Nahuatl, then Espanol. But being born and raised in San Diego, all that changed. She learned English. She spoke it better than any white in her class. But to them it didn't make a difference. Americans could see through her brown skin. She just didn't fit in. Going to visit her family in Mexico, it got worse. Even her own family criticized the way she spoke. They even got mad if they heard her speak an English word. They called her a pocha, because she didn't know her language anymore. She struggled with her identity most of her life. She couldn't find a place in society where she felt right. She was discriminated not only by Americans, but even her own kind. Soon she found others like her that felt the same. They united together and fought for equality of their race. This girl went through many phases to reach her stage. Society made her feel out of place. That's when she and her people knew there needed to be changes made. She overcame oppression to fulfill her purpose. This girl I'm speaking of is not a person. It is a word that describes us, Mexican-American girls. A name given to us born and raised in the United States. First given as a negative name, later changed to mean something great. This powerful word is Chicana. She has been through struggle and pain, discrimination and shame. The end of this story is unwritten because she still hasn't reached her fate. This story will end the day racism is dead and we all treat each other the same way.
Yeah, so that was the full poem right there. So I'll kind of break down pieces of it. So it starts with this is a story about a girl who made a difference in the world. She was born to be different since birth, but let it be known she had a greater purpose on earth. The story begins with her journey to find acceptance and a place to call home. So again, I'm personifying Chicana. What I mean by different is, at least my experience is that Chicana is like I never really fit in here with the American culture, and then I never fit in too much with the Mexican culture because we're a mix of both. So I always felt like different. The term I use or we use here that we say in Spanish is ni de aquí ni de allá, that we're not from here and we're not from there. So that's how I kind of grew up most of my life, trying to find, your identity and find acceptance in a place to call home. And then her native language was Nahuatl then Espanol. Initially, that line was her native language was Espanol, but then I kind of, thought about it and I'm like, well, Espanol wasn't really the main language before. It was like Nahuatl and all those other like ancient languages that are probably like already like no longer in existence, or maybe only like a few people speak it because Espanol became the main language when we got conquered by the Spaniards. So I kind of wanted to add that little touch of history there. And then being born and raised in San Diego, all that changed. So I kind of personified Chicana, but I also kind of put myself in the story as me being Chicana. She learned English. She spoke it better than any güera in her class, but to them it didn't make a difference. Americans could see through her brown skin. She just didn't fit in. So, like I said, either you're too American for Mexican people, or you're too Mexican for the American people. So even if you spoke like the best English, you're still considered, Mexican. They just can see right through you. So I grew up speaking Spanish. That was my first language, but I learned English in like the first grade. So you can't really hear like my accent or anything like that. Like here and there will come out. But like even then, like you can be the smartest person, and again, they just see through your brown skin. So that's like a line that I wanted to put in there. And then going to visit her family in Mexico, it got worse. Even her own family criticized the way she spoke. They got mad at her if they heard her speak an English word. They called her a bocha because she didn't know her language anymore. She struggled with her identity most of her life. She couldn't find a place in society where she felt right. So again, that's like a personal anecdote. When we, as a kid, me and my sisters, when we would go visit family in Mexico, some aunts got like upset or just didn't really thought that it was rude, I guess, that we would speak English, but we only speak it between us, and then obviously we would speak to our family members in Spanish, but they didn't really like that. And I don't know, maybe they saw it as us showing off, but it wasn't even like that. It was just like we felt comfortable speaking English amongst each other. And then pocha is kind of like a slang word for like pretty much like you don't really know like the proper Spanish anymore, like slang, like Spanish slang, the Chicano, I guess you can say. And then again, we struggled again with identity, so at least I can relate to that, and that's why I wrote that. And then she was discriminated not only by Americans, but even her own kind. So she found others that felt the same, so other Chicanos. They united together to fight for the equality of their race. This girl went through many phases to reach her stage. Society made her feel out of place. That's when she and her people knew there needed to be changes made. So I'm kind of referring to the Chicano movement. She overcame oppression to fulfill her purpose. This girl I'm speaking of is not a person. It's a word that describes us Mexican American girls. So this line right here where I say this girl I'm speaking of is not a person, I pretty much got inspiration from Common's track I Used to Love Her, which he personified hip hop as a woman. So I really love that album and the whole track. For I Used to Love Her, one of my favorite like all-time hip-hop songs, and Common is one of my favorite rappers, so I wanted to do something similar to what he did, but I was like, let's flip it and do Chicana. So I did that, and that's how this poem became actually, like what inspired it. And then first given as a negative name, later changed to mean something great. So Chicana used to be like a derogatory term with a negative connotation, but we like flipped it on them and we made it like a powerful word, Chicana. She has been through struggle and pain, discrimination and shame. This story is still unwritten because she still hasn't reached her fate. This story will end the day racism is dead and we all treat each other the same way. So again, we see that racism and discrimination and all that's still alive. Like I said, it doesn't only happen between different cultures and races. It also happens within your own race. Like I said, like I always felt like we didn't belong, like I said, Chicana, because you were, like I said, too brown for the American people or too white for the brown people. So we know that people are still, losing their lives, like being murdered by cops, black and brown. Even people still being lynched. So a lot of things haven't changed, which is really sad. But I kind of wrote this poem, like I said, in 2009, and it's still relevant. So that tells you kind of where we're at. Obviously, I believe that there's more conversations being had, more action being taken, but there's still a long way to go. So that's why I say that the story is still unwritten. And it leaves it kind of with like an open-ended, kind of like a positive, but it's also like, man, we're still in the same spot. So I hope you guys dug this track. I really wanted to start it with this because it sets the tone for the whole EP of what the EP is meant to be. So for those that have been watching my interviews, From Xibalba to Aztlan has a meaning to it. So I'll kind of break it down a little bit. So Xibalba is like a mythical hell in Mayan lore. And then Aztlan is more like, I guess, an Aztec term or Mexican term where we were planning to expand Mexico, or like parts of Mexico that belong to, Mexico. And it was considered like a paradise, So this EP goes from like a negative spot to like a positive note. So I hope that you guys do listen to the EP. Listen into the in the order that I placed the tracks, because they were intentional. You'll see it go from like something kind of, like I said, negative, to at the end a very positive note, to uplift everyone. And yeah, so hope you guys listen to the full EP. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think about this poem, spoken word track. Comment, DM me, whatever. It's out everywhere now, so hope you guys enjoy it. And I'll be back on another episode of Lyrical Breakdown. Peace.